More potent than anything you could hope harness. Covered, see the shape of it, sweet as cloaked harmless. The nature of the beast is to hunt for fresh meat. Preying on the freaks, trap cheeks and bed sheets. Sweat me if you want, do your best, impress me. That was just a front back.
Welcome to Locker Room Talk. It's your boy, Afghan Raven. And with me, like always, is my boy,
Factually Black. How are y'all?
What's going on, guys? I know it's been a while. I know we haven't recorded in a month or so. Just revamping, repackaging, as some people like to call it. We finally got our Facebook page set up. Gonna start a Patreon account soon. But we're
Facebook set up, not without drama.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, who can forget the week it took me to set it up because they kept closing it down.
Yes.
Apparently, when you send stuff that they find offensive, they'll shut you down fast,
quickly.
I think I got shut down the first day it opened.
I think we had a good 23 hours. They wouldn't let 24 go by, but we had a good 23 hours before, they started with their stuff. But we're up and running now, which is a good thing.
Yeah,
and it's doing fairly well.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, so everybody out there who's listening to this, who's a member of our page, send our page out to other friends, invite some of your friends. Same thing with our podcast. They're at the beginning of the timeline on that page. But hey, just pass this around like we're a dirty whore who's about to graduate high school.
Exactly. This is a very important moment in American history, as we see. It seems as if a tide is turning.
What do you mean?
Well, it seems as if a tide is turning, and there's fake lines being drawn in the sand. Imaginary lines being drawn in the sand. We have people that are going against each other that aren't even actually going against each other. And it's a very strange place to be. Like, for example, you see what was going on in Charlottesville.
Oh, yeah, Charlottesville. I mean, who could forget? I mean, our president only got bashed over blaming two sides of people who were violent to each other. But, I mean, hey, it was only about, 2 weeks of that, so.
But, I mean, is there some sort of, allocation in the Constitution that allows Americans to throw tear gas at each other? Because
no.
If you come to now, look, as much as I am totally against a neo-Nazi, if you're calling for genocides of people, then I don't understand why I could see eye to you about that. However, you still have the right to your own free speech, and you understand a neo-Nazi is. You have to be a certain type of white to even get into that group. It's not like all whites could just go and be a neo-Nazi. You have to be really white. They're white by their standards. You understand what I'm saying?
No, I get that. I would never pass.
You never pass.
Just like I would never be a boss in the mafia. Just not white enough.
You're not that. You're good, but you're not the white we're looking for. Basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if they have been so powerful all of a sudden, where they been at?
And I've been trying to explain this to people all week. They've been doing marches for the past 16 years.
Right.
16. And this is the first time the major media decides to pick it up. I don't know. I call bias maybe much.
That sounds correct to me. And you know what? If you look at their modus operandi, they never have any violence along with their marches. No. They say a bunch of hateful shit. They may say some clownish shit. Yeah. But they don't have violence. They don't do anything. If anybody operates within the confines of the law, they do.
Yeah, because they understand what the law is. I mean, they're not stupid. I mean, they for Christ's sake, they got the ACLU to actually fight for them in court to approve their permit.
Now look at that.
I mean, and that's one thing the media doesn't want to talk about. They're not talking about how the ACLU fucking fought for their rights to 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 practice free speech. And I think what a lot of these leftists are getting wrong, because I have talks about this. I mean, all day at work, we talk about this, and everybody's like, "Oh, they're just hateful." I was like, it doesn't matter what they're saying. Again, they were peaceful, and you can say, "Well, that's not the intent." I mean, again, they did not strike anybody until being hit first. And I mean, that's the most important thing that people need to understand when it comes to freedom of speech. As long as the speech that you're saying is not inciting violence or like direct action of violence, you're free to say whatever the fuck you want. And that's what a lot of people
Right.
don't get. A lot of people are just under this assumption that, oh, if I don't like their speech, I can just stop it. No, that's not how the Constitution works, my friend. I mean, not at all. And for the police, I mean, to one, not help, the side that was getting assaulted to first, and the only thing they really did was, after they started getting assaulted, was like usher them out of there. Yet even after the Nazis left, it was still a shit show, because they were still rioting on the streets. And again, rioting is not, again, constitutionally protected. So it shows you the attitude of these people who are committing the crimes for the most part. These Antifas, these Black Lives Matters people, and they are two potentially biggest like violent organizations that are out today. And and I'm not even counting like the regular dumb liberals that show up there because they think that for the most part they want to be a part of something. But I'm talking about two violent groups who have been consistently violent on a consistent basis.
Now, let me ask you something. If
Yeah.
you could adorn yourself in body armor with clubs and then proceed to walk towards somebody who came there ready to get busy. Now, back in the days, it used to be the Klan would wear the mask,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
hide their faces. Now you look on the left side with these Antifa people.
Well,
They're hiding their faces. They're coming there with the intent, the sole intent, to start a problem.
yeah. Well, two things, 2 points I want to touch on. One, I mean, granted, these quote unquote alt-right guys, these Nazis, white supremacists, and whatever the fucking else buzzwords people want to use for them. I will say that I watched like 15 hours of like live stream footage from the Charlottesville thing. So I watched a lot of it, and I will say that even the white supremacists were there with shields and shit like that, because they already knew what was going to happen. And I mean, because of past actions of these two groups that were going to protest, I mean, a lot of them did come with shit. So I'm not gonna say that they are completely in the right on this. You know what I mean? I mean, but for the most part, they started little to no violence, physical violence. I mean, I don't, and I'm not trying to get into about the words thing, but physically they didn't start any violence. And realistically, I mean, from the shit that I was listening to on the live stream and the shit that I was watching on Twitter, I mean, again, I really didn't hear much racist shit. And I mean, and that's saying a lot when most of the other rallies that I've seen them do over the past 16 years, I mean, those dudes are fucking just like complete racist. And like this one, I didn't hear much racist shit being thrown around from either side. I mean, mostly their side. But also, I mean, if you look at and going on to this, my second point, look at how the left started the KKK. I mean, everybody wants to talk about the Southern strategy bullshit. I mean, if you're a smart individual and you actually research it, there's no. I mean, the Republicans didn't win the South until like I don't know, like the early '90s. And, the Southern strategy supposedly happened in, like, the late 60s. So, I mean, do your research. The whole party switch thing is fucking complete bullshit. PragerU does a great video on it. And I suggest...
PragerU, yes.
Yeah, I love these guys.
That's one of my favorite sites.
Oh,
yeah, they're great.
They're great. You can watch it on PragerU, and they will... I mean, as soon as you're done watching this video, go down, listen to PragerU, put it in Southern strategy, switch, and they'll school you on it. But again, Republicans didn't really win the South until like the early 90s. Again, and that's like 30 years later, or like 20 something. give or take. But I mean, if we look at the Democrats, but back to my main point again, if we look at the Democrats historically, I mean, historically they are the party that started, they were the party behind who backed slavery, the party of Jim Crow, the party that didn't want fucking civil rights, and again, and they're the party who started the KKK. So now, because they've lost or the left feels they lost KKK, but I can assure you there are plenty of racist liberals living in Harlem, New York, right now today.
Absolutely.
Plenty of racist liberals. I'll let you know that for a fact.
Absolutely.
Even though they are still the party of hate. I mean, what they're doing is that they're taking groups like Antifa and Black Lives Matter and turning them into the violent, the violent group that they had, back in like the fucking, the late 1800s,
Right.
the KKK. They've turned Antifa and Black Lives Matter
into the new KKK.
Into the new KKK. Yeah.
Because when the KKK was running around, burning shit, hurting people, and doing all of that stuff, this is what they're doing now.
Exactly. Same thing. They just got out their playbook.
But this is what bothers me. What bothers me is how are black folks still falling for this at this point? Like you can't be this stupid.
No, and
you're running around like the little dog that you could pet.
But I mean,
like when I need you to attack, I'll take you out the cage and I'll give you a treat later.
No, but you got to look at what it is. I mean, they listen to this narrative that the left spews on all types of major media, outlets. I mean, look at, even if you listen to Hot 97 in New York or what is Power 10
105?
Yeah, 105.
Right.
I mean, listen to these commentators that they have on there. Again, who know nothing about history, who know nothing about anything but music, realistically, because when you listen to them, they don't know what they're talking about, but yet they're reaching tens of millions of people every day. And what are these guys getting their information from? These major media sources. So when you have people like Charlemagne the God, who doesn't know anything about politics, because you can just hear from what he's saying, because he's not even stating facts to a point of or more so his own opinion. When he's stating, like, fuck Trump, fuck this, fuck that, white people are racist, cops want to kill blacks, that's all they want to do. This is the narrative that they hear every day. So they're going to, one, believe the narrative, and two, spew out those narratives, the talking points, whenever they get into contact or speeches, or not speeches, but debates with people who have opposite views. They just spew the same fucking viewpoints that are MSM narratives. And when you ask them for proof or some kind, or something to back up whatever they say, they can't.
No, they can't. All you get is a robotic response.
Yeah.
From them, because they're programmed and they're trained. They're trained attack dogs for the most racist person in the world. Like, I looked at this video the other day, and it was Malcolm X talking about the white liberals. And it's in black and white, it's all grainy, old footage. And Malcolm X was saying that the white liberal is the wolf in sheep's clothing. Mm-hmm. The actual racist is an actual wolf. At least you know what the wolf is, because the wolf presents himself as a wolf.
Yeah.
The white liberal is the one that's going to make sure that he seems like somebody that's on your side, looking out for you and understands your trouble. But this is the problem with black folks right there. They want someone to understand their trouble and to just feel sorry for them and to just understand and give them a pat on the head and a hug. They want the love of the white folks. That's all they want. I always told you this. I'm like, look, black people don't hate y'all. Black people love y'all. I can prove the point right now.
Well, half of me. Only half of me.
Look, I could prove the point right now. I said this to somebody the other day. If you ever talk to black people about something that they're doing wrong or things that doesn't quite make sense, one of the most common things that you would hear from them is white people do it too. Have you ever heard this? They'd be like, well, white people do that too. When you say a statement like that, so I had to break it down. I was like, let me put it into terms that you can understand. if I'm selling crack and I sell crack to a pregnant woman, and you
Yeah.
come up to me and you say, "Yo, man, that's messed up. Why you sell crack to that pregnant woman?" And I say, "What? The OG sold crack to the pregnant woman." That means that the OG, who is superior to me, since he did that, that makes it okay for me to do that. You constantly let white people know how superior you feel they are to you.
Yeah.
All of this stuff, when you constantly asking them for treat us better, do better for us, we've been hurt. That list that Black Lives Matter thing that's sent out, that's just shocking, and it's sad, and it's got me to when after I read that, right, I held my head, I had my head, excuse me, I held my head
Held your head.
to my
There you
book.
go.
Yes, I held my head because I'm sorry, but that one just messed me all the way up. Like I couldn't even talk for a second. But I held my head and I started thinking about it. And I started thinking about the things that I read a lot of times. Like, I'll go onto the white supremacist website sometimes because you know what? Not for nothing. They may have some good
it,
information.
it actually got shut down, so I don't think you'll be able to
Yeah,
look at it anymore.
yeah, I know. But I'm just saying, like, I would go and I would see them refer to black people as monkeys. And I got really offended because that's an insult to the monkey.
Damn. Wow.
Even Caesar said, "Ape don't kill ape," right? Ape not kill ape. That's what the monkeys said to each other, right?
That's true.
You
Oh, you
even,
talking
I
about the
guess
new one
that,
or the old one?
I think that was the first one.
Okay.
He was about to let the other one go, and he said, "Ape not kill ape," right?
But did he kill him anyway?
Yeah,
If I remember, he
he
kills
ended
him
up
anyway.
killing. He ended up killing him anyway because he had did so much wrong stuff. But that was at least the moniker. Like, let's not kill each other. You can't even tell these people that. So when they go around talking about cops did this, cops did that, white person did that, this person did that, it's almost like if you have a patient and the patient walks in and he has a migraine and cancer. What do you treat first? Because everything I just mentioned, is the migraine. The real cancer is amongst the own community and the stuff that they do to each other.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
but I think we need to make a clear cut line and definition. I mean, for the most part, I mean, it is the liberal black that does exactly what you're saying. Because
Hmm.
I've seen conservative black people who, I mean, are red pilled fucking, more than I am, and they call out, just like you, and you're a perfect example of that. Who call out, who tell the facts. You know what I mean? So I think there is a difference. I mean, because when more conservative blacks, they are more aware of what's going on in their communities. They are more aware of what's going on, with the government and seeing how, blacks are just used in a general sense by the U.S. government, and it's by, both parts. I'm not going to say it's majority of the Democrats, but you do see it from time to time on the Republican side. So, I mean, but let's, that needs to be definitely made clear that
No, I
majority
mean, no.
is,
That's understood. It's just the minority speaks louder than
yeah, then the majority.
the
Yeah.
majority, and it's honestly, like, if you have a group of people this stupid, why wouldn't you put your foot on their neck? It's like they're sitting here just prime bait, ready for the using. It's like meeting a hoe or that's just ready to down and do anything. You was just out with your friends, and you might have to tell you, I might have to go over here tonight, man. You know what I mean?
Oh no,
Like
yeah. But again,
it's something like it's right there for you. Like they make it too easy. It's almost like how could you not?
oh no, of course, and I think what it comes back to is the way that they get information and interpret the information. Again,
Mm,
when you have a community of people who look so heavily upon celebrities,
right.
you know, their Jay Z's and their Killer Mikes and freaking Rick Rosses, and and all of them are saying that this is all fucked up. the white man's to blame, the white man's to blame, and all this bullshit. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they're gonna take that and internalize it and interpret the way, without even like trying to decipher the information or even check the validity of these statements. And
Right.
that's the thing that they won't sit and check the validity of it, and then they'll just regurgitate it until it becomes fact.
Right. Right.
And that's
And
what
it's and
happens.
it also has a snowball effect
Mm-hmm.
because each time it gets repeated, it becomes a little bit bigger, and it
Yeah.
becomes bigger than
Yeah.
themselves and their whole community. And I don't understand how anybody could actually really exist this way because you have actually no outlook in your whole life because everything it's almost like everything in your life is already predetermined. So why should I try?
Yeah. And
That's the narrative.
and this reminds me of a story, a true story. I walking around the streets of New York, get stopped by somebody, young kid, probably like 17, maybe 16, 17 years, probably 17 years old, turning 18. He was actually, I think he was a senior, so he was 18 in high school. That's neither
Okay.
here nor there. He stops me and asks me if he had a cigarette. I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. Give this kid a cigarette. And we start talking, and he was like, I'm downtown, so I'm dressed well, expensive shirt, expensive shoes, expensive suit, and so we get into talking about my occupation. And I don't talk about it much on here, which I won't, but we're talking about my occupation, and he's asking me like, why do I do what I do, and you know, you know, just general questions about. It kind of went into my upbringing as well,
Okay.
and I told him, I was like, look, I told him straight up, I was like, I grew up poor. I grew up poor. I was like one of the poorest people in my school. I was like, I didn't have I was like, until like high school, realistically, I didn't have name brand stuff and stuff like, I didn't have name brand clothes, name brand shoes, I was like, everything I got now, I've earned. And I was like, you know, and I told him, you can't allow anybody to tell you what you can or cannot do in life.
Right.
And I really strived that to him. I was like, you're gonna have people in your life right now who's gonna tell you why are you trying to be, because he said he wanted to be a lawyer, and that's what he said he wanted to be. He was like, I want to be a lawyer. I was like, well, guaranteed, the first thing you need to do is cut out the cancer in your life, and it's gonna be these people who doubt you, these people who are like, you can't do that, you from the hood, you can't do this, you can't do that, and they're the cancer, but those are the same people who are going to be stuck in the same situation they are their entire lives. Those are the people who don't leave the hood. Those are the people who don't leave, the
Yep.
block. Those are the dudes who are doing the same shit 10 years from now that they're doing today.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and he told me that had already started. And I just told him, I was like, look, there's no mystical white man out there, who's out to get you to make sure you don't become what you want to become. I was like, that's not how the system works. I was like, we live in probably one of the best systems in the world, where at any time any man can change their fate. You know,
It absolutely is the best system in the world.
no, it is by
You know,
far.
this American country right here. I growing up, I didn't think this way. I grew up with that same mentality. I grew up with there's somebody out there, we gotta fight. I was at the March on Washington. I was at the Million Man March. I've gone through all of that. I used to read all of these books and everything. Just taking in information. You know, I I once voted for Barack Obama. Shh,
We won't tell anybody that.
you got to hold that against me, all right? Nobody's perfect. Only God
No,
could judge me. Isn't that what they say?
apparently. Like,
But you eventually have to look at things and say, this
yeah.
doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because throughout my whole life, I've always worked. I've
Yeah.
worked since I was 16 years old. My first job that was given to me by a Mexican working at McDonald's. My next job after that was given to me by a Greek man. My next job after that, I worked for a Jew in a hospital. Now, all of these times, and I excelled everywhere I've gone, but all of these times, any trouble in my life didn't come from anybody white. I've been robbed. I've been cheated out of money. You know, I've been lied to, swindled, and put into bad situations that could have threatened my life.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody white did that. No, it's not. It's just a lie. And it's just really sad to see people, and like you can't even have these kind of conversations with people because they hold on to that victimhood so hard. It is because if they let that go, then they're faced with personal responsibility, and I think that's really scary to them.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's why they'll never take. That's why they always play victim, because if you're a victim, it's not your fault. It's somebody else's fault. Why
Right,
should I take responsibility because I'm lazy and I don't want to work, or I don't want to go to school, or if I don't want to learn how to drive, or if I don't want to you know, fucking do anything? It's somebody else's fault why I'm like this. And it's
right.
easier for them to accept life that way, so that they can just realistically skate through life, not doing anything, not being productive, getting something for free, and that's what some people want.
Yeah, they will live that all the way to the end. And they will ride that horse until the hooves come off of that motherfucker because it's 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 so ingrained and it's learned. It's a learned behavior
Mm-hmm.
and I notice it from even from children because I'll see parents get on with their children and I'll see them they may get on the bus and they'll just walk on and their kids are just watching them walk on. The kids have seen everybody walk up and pay their fare. They'll just walk on too. So now they start to know it's like, well, huh, I guess it's no big deal if I just ride free. There's
Mm-hmm.
no personal responsibility. And beyond that, there's another thing that's a real there's one thing that'll stop you from doing a lot of stuff, and it's a simple word. It's called shame. There's no shame.
No, it's
Like
not.
they never feel it. There's nothing that can make you feel ashamed,
I mean,
and
why?
especially amongst men.
Well,
You know, like
why do you think they
uh,
got rid of the fucking actual physical food stamps?
mm,
Like
mm,
people don't realize that. People don't understand. People are just like, oh, they to make it easier. No, because they wanted people to stop being ashamed of fucking using food stamps. I used to
wow, I
hate.
never thought of that.
Yo,
I've never thought of that.
no, that's what they said. I mean, I think I'll try and find the link to it. But I read this, I read this a while ago actually, and I was like, huh, it fucking makes sense. Because like I tell you, when I used to have to go shopping for my mom or my grandmother, and I used to have to, like when and like I said, like people don't want to believe me. People think like one people just think I'm fucking just white who come from like Connecticut and I have all this money. Like nobody understands how much work it took me to get where I'm at. People just think it was given to me,
Right.
and that was one problem that I had in my master's program. Everybody just thought shit was given to me, but no. But like I remember the shame and how embarrassing it was. Anytime I had to go to the fucking store for them, because it's like, oh, buy this, buy that, buy this, and it'd be like little shit, like a fucking gallon of milk or a loaf of bread, and I used to go down there with this fucking food stamps, a book of food stamps, and it was like fucking like it wasn't even green, like the color of money green, like it was
It was rainbow,
like
right?
like a neon green, a
Yeah,
fucking a pink, a blue,
yeah.
and I remember going in there and like you're paying for this shit and you're like tearing and like you're standing in line and people hear you tearing it out of the book and then giving it to the teller, and then like you're just like fuck, because then I gotta wait for her to take the food stamp money that she has to give you change for it.
So let me ask you something. What made you what inside of you or through your upbringing made you decide that, you know what, I'm going to be something different?
I mean,
Like I'm going to change it. Because the only reason I'm just
yeah,
framing this question because like we just said, so many get so deep into it that they end up living a life where they look for as much stuff free as they possibly can.
yeah.
Now you came from that background. What made you decide different?
Like I said, it was fucking embarrassing, and I mean, I remember I started working at I think I want to say like 12 or 13. I want to say 12 probably, or maybe it was 13. Whenever you were old enough to get your work permit, I started working, and started making my own money. and then being able to buy what I wanted to buy. So up until that point, I started working. I had to depend on people to give me shit, and one thing I learned from that is like when people are just giving you shit, like you have no right to complain. Like
Right.
I could sit down and be like, I don't like these sneakers, Mom. You got them from Payless. I want to get something else. And I'm not gonna sit here and like just sit, try like bash my mom or my grandmother. I mean,
No,
because
no, I'm
in
not
all
taking it like
reality,
that.
no, because in all reality, like if I wanted Nikes, they would buy me Nikes. It wouldn't be, the 70, 50, 60, $70 pair. It would be like the $25 jump offs. And
Right.
sometimes, you can get a nice pair of looking sneakers for like $25 that had Nike, the Nike check
Yeah.
on it. But I mean, like just learning from a young age that, when somebody gives you something, like realistically, you don't have a choice. And
Right.
that's something I don't, I like to have choice. I like to be able to be like, I want this over this. I want a burger over fucking chicken.
Right. Right.
And that started to shape the way I was. So I keep work. I mean, I work majority of my time in school, after school jobs. After the football season, I go into work the summers, shit like that, making my own money, being able to make choices. And I think that was the biggest thing, knowing that I didn't have to stay a victim, or I didn't have to keep shame, because if I'm working a job, I can buy whatever the fuck I want. I can save up 2 paychecks and buy a pair of Jordans. I can save up, you know,
Right.
I can save up
Right.
3 weeks, 4 weeks, and buy a nice outfit. And it was
Yeah.
just that, having that freedom. And to me, and I understand in all contents that it's not real freedom at all, but it gives you a sense of real freedom when you have, when you are not financially supported, or what's what I'm looking for.
To have the ability to have options in your life
Well, yeah, exactly. And
is
overall,
all we that's all we work for as Americans.
yeah,
What's the difference between a rich man and a poor man? It's options.
yeah,
That is not a privilege or anything. Your work, what you have done, is going to provide you options or not. Your work and what you do will provide you opportunities or not. If you're just sitting there complaining, what opportunity could you have gotten from that?
exactly. And like when you play the victimhood, you know, you're not going to get opportunities because one, and this is what people don't understand, is that when you play the victim, you may think it's all fine and dandy, and people don't want to work with you. People don't want to hire you. You know why? Because
Right.
you're a bad for their image. And realistically,
Right.
with any job, that's what it's about. It's about what type of image are you going to put forward if we hire you as an employee. And like all these millennials talking about, I can't get good jobs in the fields. Yeah, because they see how the fuck you act in an interview, and they're like, yo, you're bad. You're going to be bad for my company. You're bad for the image. You're bad for the brand.
Right.
And it's not because you're fucking a quasi gay transsexual, hermaphrodite who is asexual, a
Oh,
midget.
you checked all the boxes now,
No, I'm not
huh?
done checking the boxes. You are a midget with a peg leg who fucking uses a wheelchair. You're fucking a quarter black, a quarter white, a quarter Chinese, and a quarter Native American Indian. They're not hiring because of those factors. What you have to do is sit back and understand that they're not hiring you because you fucking suck as a person.
Right.
Because you
Right.
are whiny, because you are crying, because you think that fucking somebody owes you something. You have this idea, this complex that corporate America or big America in general, that they owe you something. When realistically, when it comes back, they don't owe you anything. They don't owe you
AR,
anything at all.
AR, that is a perfect segue into Mr. Colin Kaepernick.
Well, that's one reason I said that, because I was thinking about him too. I mean, you have
Really?
this, yeah, and,
Really?
and this is like I hear this all day. People bitching about him, like they ain't give him a job because he
He
black.
can't play.
No, he can't play. I'm like,
Sucks.
you had a 1 in
He's
10
barely a
season.
third string. He's barely a third string quarterback.
Yeah, for the only reason you started in San Francisco is because they didn't have anybody to begin with. I mean, your first season in the NFL, you go 1 in 10. You know what I mean? You realize that you're about to be cut. So what do? Your second season? Oh shit! Controversy. And that's what people
Take a
don't
knee.
understand.
Do you know that they are going to put his jersey
Yeah,
in the Smithsonian?
yeah, and for the Black Lives Matter thing, I mean that made
I,
absolutely no sense.
I guess, I mean, the standards are just a wash. It's a wash of standards.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Yet,
There is no standards.
yet they haven't gone to fucking Judge. What is his name?
Clarence Thomas.
Yeah, Clarence Thomas, and
Right.
say, hey, can we get one of your robes to put in this, up in the Smithsonian? Because
Doesn't fit the
you are
narrative.
only the first or second African American judge that we've had.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it doesn't fit the standards.
No, yeah,
Doesn't fit the standards.
because he's conservative. Everything he
Right.
votes on is conservative ideology. But I mean, but this is the thing. Like, I have to tell people that look, he's not getting hired because again, he is bad for the brand. You're like, why
Bad
is it
for the
about?
brand.
And this is the thing. Why? So why does that matter? Because when you're in a business, you're in a business to make money. You're not in a business to fucking help people. You're in a business to fucking make money. That's how it works. You have fucking something that you need done, so to make a profit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And then these same idiots are going to run around talking about let's black out the NFL, which pays black people
The most money.
money for their families
Exactly. Like,
because they won't hire Mr. Colin Kaepernick,
a
who
fucking mediocre player.
mediocre player who wouldn't be who he is now if not for the white family that
That took him in.
raised him.
Yeah. Paid for his schooling, his private
It's-
schooling.
No, it's really look. This is why I was so happy with the Mayweather fight because you know why? Black men needed a win. We've been taking L's and L after L after L. We got this guy Van Jones crying on CNN.
Yeah.
Then you have Don Lemon just all on in the public eye with his how should I say feathery personality.
Yeah.
We'll just say feathery. That's politically correct. Don't flag our videos, please. So you look at this, and I was watching I'm watching Don Lemon, right? And he's reviewing the Charlottesville stuff. And I said to myself, okay, let's say it was a group of homosexuals that were protesting their right to have a bag of dicks. We want bags of dicks. We want bags of dicks. Right?
Yeah.
Something that sounds pretty vile to guys like you and I. And then a group came in, you know what I mean, dressed with shirts that said machismo and bully clubs that said manhood and just ran towards them and started fighting them. You would have sympathy for that group because that's in your interest. But you see, that's what they miss. Freedom of speech isn't about what's in your interest to hear. Mm-hmm. It's about in the interest of the person to say. Because if you take it from them, then somebody could come and take it from you. So it has to work both ways. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it was bad, man. It was really bad. It was really bad.
Was Charlottesville or Kirkpatrick? Which one?
All of them. All of them. All of them.
Yeah.
Because you start with this, man. You can look at Van Jones, right? Mm-hmm. Van Jones sits there. He complains about white people all the time, right?
He's married to a white woman.
He's married to Jimmy Carter's niece.
Liberal much?
Yes. He's married to Jimmy Carter's niece. So what you're telling me is that you hate the man, but you love the daughter.
Yeah.
You hate the white man, but you love his daughter. So then how does that work? If you're so upset, you're going to rail against the system, so you're going to rail against the same people who created your wife? They don't, like I said, they don't hate you. They love you. What else? How else could you explain it? How else could you explain it? If you really listen to them, it sounds like an ex-girlfriend who is mad that you don't love her the way she loves you. This is exactly how they sound. Am I wrong?
No, you actually tell the truth. You're right.
It's really a strange thing to me, but I see it all the time, and it's really weird.
Yeah.
But you know, that's that.
Like I said, and again, it comes back to the whole reason behind him doing this whole thing. He's not, Kirkpatrick never did this because he cares about black lives. Let's be serious.
No.
He started doing it when he realized that he was going to go nowhere with the 49ers.
Right.
And he wanted out of his contract.
Right.
He didn't want to be re-signed. He didn't want to fucking continue. So what did he do? He says, fuck this. I'll make a spectacle on the sidelines. And that's what he did. And because what happened? He got released. He thought to God somebody else was going to pick him up. But when you're a shitty player,
right,
who's new, who's still a rookie in the NFL, regardless of how many, you know what, you played 2 seasons, like, dude, you're still a fucking rookie, bro. You had a shitty rookie season. You had a shitty fucking second season. And then you fucking pull this shit. Why? Because you do not want to fucking play for that team anymore. Because realistically, he doesn't care. Because you think, how do you think his fucking, his Thanksgiving dinners go now? Oh, hey, good job on nailing the white man, son. No.
Right.
Right. Like if anything, he should be getting on black women and them giving up children because they don't want them. And, you know, like
or aborting 20 million,
them, yeah,
or aborting 20 million of them. But hey,
and that's the whole
that doesn't
thing.
matter. Why won't you take a knee for the violence in Chicago?
Yeah,
take a knee for the fact that Baltimore is about to eclipse its past bloodiest history that it had already. They already set a record. They're about to beat their own record. And these places are run democratically, diametrically.
And this
is top to bottom.
And this is what I noticed. The people who say they care about black lives don't care about black lives.
No.
All the black people who are out there saying, I care about black lives matter in my community. You
They
really
don't,
because if you did, you would help the police out. You would fucking safeguard your own community as well. You know, you would be turning in these fucking drug dealers, but you don't care. Nope. And that's the thing. And, you know, when there's a shooting, you know, there's 5,000 people around and not one person wants to turn around and say, hey, these are the guys who did it, because everybody knows who did these shootings. I'll let you know that for a fact. So, like, all these gangbangers out here, if you hear this, the cops, like, everybody know who did the shooting. The cops don't know who the same shooters are, you know? But again, it's just because the community doesn't want to get involved. You know, you turn the police force into your babysitting force and then get mad when they take the actions they need to take to secure your community.
Right.
See, one thing people don't realize, if fucking I don't know, like West 97th Street, right? If fucking liberal fucking Lucy decides she's gonna start selling fucking heavyweight out of her apartment and she turns her fucking complete neighborhood into a shithole, guess what would happen? The police would be there patrolling.
Right.
It's about where the violence is. It's not because we're a minority community. No, it's about the fact that you have the highest amount of crime. Larry Liberal and fucking Lucy Liberal, they're not the ones committing these crimes. They get you guys to commit it for them.
Right. And then they go home to a nice area and, you know, nice and calm. But meanwhile, you live in a war zone. You live in an actual zoo, and it really is a zoo, because I've seen places where the police have to just set up actual spotlights just to shine lights down on this area, because you do too much. And you protect the people that hurt you the most. You attack anybody who ever tries to help you. You will stay right here and you will live in this thing, and nobody's going to hear your complaints.
Nope, nobody's going to care.
And nobody's going to care. But how could you care? How could you ask somebody to care more about you than you care about yourself?
Exactly.
And it's just a sad state. Yeah. There's no reason for it. And like we said before, when we was talking about personal responsibility and shame, when you devoid that and you take that away from an individual who does, and they just don't have that, you could literally sit there and watch a person or a group of people de-evolve. Like I swear to God, it's going to turn into knuckle dragging troglodytes shortly,
Hmm.
man. Like seriously, they're turning into complete savages, and the savagery is more accepted, and then it gets reinforced, and then you have a brand new savage that gets born in the next
Yeah.
generation.
See, you shouldn't have pride because you're living in the projects. Like, you shouldn't have pride repping your house. Lincoln houses, fucking, Walton houses, all these fucking houses. Like you sit there and you're praising a project. Papoose said it the best. It's off one of his mixtapes. He was like, they got us. Hold on, what does he say again? He's like, they got us in a trap because a project is something that's being built or raised,
Mm,
and that's what they call these buildings projects. But nothing's happening. These people are trapped in a system where guess what happens? Their mother owns the apartment, but she's gonna give it to you, and
right?
then you're gonna stay there, and then you're gonna give it to your daughter, your son. You see what I'm saying?
Mm,
It's like you shouldn't have pride in that. You shouldn't have pride in the building when you walk in. The first thing you smell is piss. Like where is
right,
the shame? Like just because some people there who live in the projects live like animals, it's not all of them. I mean, there's some
right.
hardworking people in there who just for some reason just don't leave because one, the rent's cheap and they fucking they still have subsidies or whatever it is. But like, I mean, even if you have somebody paying like half your rent, that's something to be fucking ashamed of.
Right.
But that's not neither here nor there. Like like have some fucking personal shame in the area you live in if it's not too good. Like if you're walking into an elevator where there's fucking piss in the corner and shit on the other corner, and you're trying not to move because there's fucking roaches around you, like you should feel ashamed that you live there, and you should fucking do everything in your goddamn will to move out of there.
To get out of there. To get out of
And,
there. But they don't.
and all
But
it
you know
takes is
what?
one, and they don't realize all it takes is one person to change the entire rest of a generational line. Like, and
But you
people don't
see,
realize that.
you just touched on something, and I think there is a generational um let's see, how can I put this? There's a very high level of low intelligence amongst those communities. And you just touched on something. You just said in the projects, somebody will live here, they'll pass that house on, they'll pass that house
Hmm.
on, they'll pass that house on, right? Now, you think about all of the buildings there and how that's happening over and over again. And it's the same people that are living there,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, for the most part.
Now, these same people fuck each other. And these same people fuck each other.
No,
And
that's
these
true.
same people fuck each other. There are cousins and cousins and cousins in there that are fucking each other. They like to talk about the white man and rednecks be inbreeding. You
I
live
never,
in a you
I
live in
never
a
thought
ge-
about that.
think about it. You live in one place for generation after generation after generation. You know that there could be one guy who has 7 kids and maybe have another little side one he not sure about. All mixed up, all mixed up. These people grow up, they don't some of them don't know who their father is. They grow up, they make a child. They
Yeah.
make a child. This process still goes on and it's all within the same one area. They are inbreeding. And I think that that might be a key to understanding like why the intelligence level is so low in these communities.
Hmm. Hey,
I mean, do you think that's a valid theory? What do you
I
think?
mean, if you watch Game of Thrones, yes. I
Nah,
mean, no, but I'm just
I,
saying.
I
I think so.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it, so don't ruin it.
I won't ruin it.
Okay, okay.
But no. I mean, definitely. I mean, we know for a fact that having sex with someone who's closely related to you or related to you in general can have birth effects. I mean, it can cause issues to, um, thinking, motor skills,
Right,
physically,
right,
and again, this isn't just like black community specific. White people do it too. It's the same thing with trailer parks and shit like that. I mean, these guys stay in the same trailer park for fucking years, grow up there, and they'll live there after their mother dies. So I
right.
mean, I
But a
mean, we
trailer park is a spread out space, right?
well, yeah,
These people are
granted,
housed
on
on
top
top
of
of
each
each
other,
other,
yes.
up into the sky,
Yeah. Oh
and they
no, no,
and they stay there.
yeah, no,
You
but
know,
that's
because
what I'm
we're
saying.
this is a dense population here. So If you think about it, like, every inner city has its really bad spots,
Yeah.
but it's a dense population of people that never leave.
Yeah. So,
So there gotta be some genes that are crossing.
oh no, definitely. I mean, if you really think about it, I mean, the probability of that happening is probably very high.
It is. I think
I,
so.
I would definitely. I guarantee there's research on this. So if we have anybody out there who does research, do some research on this. It's interesting to really find it out. But there would definitely be some kind of deformities, whether it's mentally, whether it's physically, or it's
Emotionally,
maybe.
behaviorally,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
because the look, sometimes just the behavior and the reactions that I witness,
yeah,
it's so mind-boggling. It could be to the simplest stimuli, and the reaction is so left field that you see from some of these folks.
hmm
And and like you said, there are hardworking people in there, and there are good folks.
yeah,
But if you're surrounded by the same and the same and the same, and
hmm yeah,
nobody leaves. It's generation after generation of folks just living right here. You're the crossing genes. There's no way you're not.
oh yeah,
There's,
definitely.
there's, there's no way you're not.
No, like I said,
And
that's very possible. I mean, very likely that actually happens. Very likely. Um, but then I think where it comes down to is again, it's just really hard to like. I think like how do we solve this? I mean, and I mean that's what it is. I mean, people can sit here and be like, oh, you can complain about it all you want, but what's your idea to solve this? And it's like, what could we do to solve issues like this? What could we do to solve issues of, you know, generational housing, generational like benefits getting passed down, or the teaching of for these kids of like not wanting to be supported by the government. So
uh,
I mean, like what could we do
I don't think
realistically?
we, I don't think this is a problem that's worth solving. This problem, they're
I
gonna have. There needs to be some sort of natural selection take place. Honestly, because there's been. I remember. I always reference Baltimore because like I told and I've said on the show previously. I went down there myself when that Freddie Gray stuff was going on, and I wanted to see everything that was going on firsthand, and I got to witness exactly what it is. Baltimore has had billions poured into it through the stimulus package.
mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of money.
A just constant stream. It'll have to start. You can't teach somebody the importance of a family if they don't understand how important a family is.
Mm-hmm.
We there's that community believes that a woman is able to handle raising a family by herself. And that when she does it, she is actually stronger for doing it by herself than she would be if she was doing it with her husband. When you start from that premise, you have to understand that you're dealing with folks that have abnormal psychology.
No, that's true.
How how far back are you going to go to try to save people that don't want to be saved?
I think it realistically is just a matter of education at the end of the day, and it's but again, that comes down to state government. It comes down to city, village, county government on how they're spending this money. They always want to sit there and be like, "Oh, we're fucking broke," but yet the fucking head person who oversees this is making, you know, 300,000-400,000 dollars a year for a fucking failing school system. So one,
Typically Democratic, right?
yeah, for the most part. I mean, academia is typically democratic. I mean, look at that whole fucking thing that they pushed through with the fucking Common Core. Fucking the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen, and I've seen some really dumb shit in my life, and that's probably up there was one of the dumbest. So I mean, when we think about it, it really everything stems out of education. So why are we paying somebody $400,000 a year for a failing school system? Why are we, allowing companies to make billions and that's what a B, billions, not millions, billions, not billions of dollars to make standardized tests that do nothing. Because these standardized tests aren't changing their, you know, ain't changing their socioeconomic levels. It's not changing their environment. It's not changing the nurturing that's going on in these societies. So realistic, it's like what you have to think about is like, why are we paying billions of dollars? Because that's where a lot of our school system money goes to. Because we have to buy the books and the fucking material to study this specific test. Now we have generations of kids who have no kind of fucking critical thinking because they're being taught to pass a test given by a private company that is hired by the state. So they then again give the state the materials and charge the state for it. You know, they tell them how to mark these exams. They tell them how to fucking, you know, what books they need, what pages to study from, and all this shit. So every kid can take a standardized test to pay them more money. Like, I think standardized testing is a fucking sham. You don't need a fucking state. You don't need a fucking private company telling you what your kids are good and proficient in. You don't.
Right.
The individual teacher can.
That's true.
I mean, do we need textbooks? Yeah. I'm not going to sit there and say we don't. But again, these textbooks are written by people who have biases to begin with. How about instead of reading that, we're reading actual... but even if it goes on to thinking about research and shit like that, like teaching kids, you know, what people who are doing research in fields actually are. I mean, again, those are a bias as well. You know, everybody has their own personal bias, quote unquote. But again, I mean, it's like we have to get rid of those things. We have to get rid of standardized testing, and we have to get rid of people who will keep consistently failing schools. You know, I don't care if it's the principal who's making $100,000, or the fucking superintendent who's getting paid $400,000, or the teacher who's getting paid goddamn $42,000. You know.
Right.
And it should be measured by the success of the kids. And again, it shouldn't be measured through standardized testing because, again, all you're teaching is memorization. You're not teaching what skills the kid's actually going to need.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's what I think education should be more. It should be more skill-orientated and more goal-orientated.
Exactly.
You know, like you present not a standard for them to achieve score-wise, but present a goal for them that they have to work to achieve. Because that's what life really is about.
Oh, no,
you know?
of course. And think about this. Like, you get rid of standardized testing. They're like, oh, but what are we going to do now? You know, how are we going to measure? Easy. These kids have fucking books, right? You make kids read books and do book reports. I mean, I remember I used to do book reports. I haven't seen my daughter do one yet. But I mean, one, because it can tell how well you can read, how well you can comprehend the information that you're being dealt, and it provides you critical thinking skills as well. I mean, and I'm saying like that's one thing about college, and I'll give it to college. You're always writing fucking papers, and like I never noticed like how unprepared I was in writing a college side, you know, paper. In general, I was just like, I remember one of my first ones, you know, I thought I did fucking great, and I fucking handed it in and get back and like, what the fuck, bro? And I'm like, sorry, I thought I did better. You know, 'cause it was horrible. But I mean, again, because like my last few years of school, it was studying for the Regents exam, this state test to tell if you're okay, you know. And it's just like, did I realistically, did I learn anything? No, I didn't learn shit. I learned how to fucking read a question and then randomly choose one that looked right. You think I ever?
That's what you end up doing.
Yeah.
That's what you look for the best. You look for the best answer. Yeah. What they used to say, well, 75% of the time they answered C or something like that.
Some stupid shit. I mean, that turned out to be. I mean, for most tests, it turns out to be too fucking true. You know, and I think what we have to do is definitely give it back in the hands of teachers and give education back to teachers. But then, you know, there's problems with that as well because you have, again, biased teachers who are only going to push their political views or whatever. And I don't think politics in school should ever be, tolerated or talked about.
No.
Because school's a place of learning.
You know, you're supposed to present the kids with facts.
Yeah, not opinions.
And let them and let them blossom that on their own. Like if we keep controlling everything, we will not make any advancement as a nation.
No, exactly.
You know,
Like I'm saying, you probably have very fucking kids who have the potential to do fucking outstanding things out there, out in the world right now, but because of the way they were taught, they will never tap that potential at all. You know, and it just what it does, it hinders us as a nation. I mean, like again, I wholeheartedly believe it's like give control back to teachers. You don't know how many times I talk to kindergarten teachers or, I mean, teachers in like elementary school and junior high school and high school, and they all just wish that the schools would just give them back the power that they had because, again, you know, these teachers are scared about their jobs because, you know, a standardized test is going to say whether or not they've been teaching right. It's like, no, what you have to do is, I'm telling you, you need these kids to write. You need these kids to fucking think on their own. You know,
right,
come up with fucking, you know, theories and hypothesis about fucking literary works or about a fucking war or about fucking something.
right.
Something that teacher can sit down and gauge. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
guess I just turned your AC off. Was it good? Or fan?
Oh no, I don't. Oh, you hear the fan in the background?
I guess that was
That's
a
not.
fan. Oh.
Oh
See,
yeah,
I
no, I
was
can
deep
hear
in thought. I was deep in thought. Yeah, just got sidetracked. That's that ADD. I was like,
you.
ooh, squirrel.
No,
But
but you make a very good point.
and that's realistically where I think the school system needs to be. It needs to be put back in the hands of these teachers. I mean, who else is going to tell if the kid's ready to move on to a grade? A fucking test or the fucking teacher who's been with this person the entire year?
Right.
You know, it's the same thing what I say about like trying to mentally diagnose people. Like, whose diagnosis are you going to believe? The person who's been working with this, you know, an individual for fucking 2 to 3 months, or the person who sees him for one day and it's like, oh, this is what he has. Like, really? Like, oh, you're from a 10-minute conversation. That's what I have. Thanks. You know, but that's realistically, we need to put the control back in the hands of these teachers, and guarantee, you know, that they're gonna choose and ensure that these kids have what they need
Right. But
to
no, but nobody has the teacher's bags the
no,
same way. I mean, our audience. I'm sure they understand that both of us we come out of New York City,
yeah, and they
and
should.
in this liberal bastion that we live in, our democratic leaders right now have our cops put all the way on the back burner, especially the mayor. The mayor has been a joke. The mayor,
Mm.
we, we recently lost a
A
we
joke.
recently lost a officer here who was just doing her job, and some piece of shit walked up and shot her in the head. And the mayor went overseas to go protest while this was happening.
Yeah.
Now, even from now, let me just put myself in a politician's shoes. From a political viewpoint, that looks bad. Let alone even how bad it actually is to show your support to the people that support this whole city. But you're gonna leave during that time.
Yeah,
You're
you know,
not gonna cancel it to go protest over there with the people
in
that are
French,
tearing up. Might
France.
as well have been the French wing of Antifa, probably. You
Yeah.
understand what I mean?
No, I think it was actually that's my fault. I actually think it was Germany. He was at the G summit out there,
Right.
and he was with Antifa, fucking throwing shit at fucking people. Guaranteed, he's a fucking piece of shit. I mean, and I don't even just mean as a politician. I mean, as a person, he's a piece of shit. Um, Him and his fucking wife and his fucking kids think they run this fucking city,
Right.
and I mean, they only back the most ridiculous fucking ideologies of city council people. Um, I mean, ridiculous ideas that only hinder our city more. You know, they want to keep in these fucking sanctuary city rights, which isn't a fucking right because these people broke the law. For that, we should have a sanctuary gun fucking whatever you want fucking place. You know what I mean? Like,
Sanctuary drugs.
yeah. I mean, you're not protecting those criminals, but I mean in ways they are.
Sanctuary prostitution.
Exactly. Like, yeah, you can do prostitution in the state of New York now. You were protecting your rights.
We're
Like,
gonna
fuck out
protect
of
your
here.
rights.
He's a fucking piece of shit. Him and his fucking family. Their ideologies. He's a fucking socialist Marxist. Like, I don't get how fucking like Democrats think that's the same thing as being liberal. Like, these guys are fucking. He's a fucking communist socialist Marxist. Like, he's the worst piece of shit that you could ever be, politically wise. And like, Democrats don't care. They just vote wherever it says a D. They're just like, oh, it says a D. I don't know who this person is.
Just check it
Adolf
off.
Hitler, Democrat? Got it.
Got it.
Mao
Sounds right.
Zedong, Democrat? Got it.
Genghis Khan.
Stalin has to be Democrat. Like, come on. Realistically.
No.
You know?
No, it's ridiculous. I'm pretty sure he won't get a second term, but it's really hard to get a. Even Bloomberg. I wasn't the greatest fan of Bloomberg, but he ran as an independent, right?
No, he ran as a Republican, but he was a true independent.
Okay, he switched. That's how he got his on.
Like his policies were nowhere near conservative. They were independent. They were like all over the place. Like, he was very conservative on some issues, and on other issues he wasn't. And I mean, he was a weird guy. You know?
Yeah,
he's the
that
reason,
was a strange time.
He's the reason New York City has a fucking soda tax now. I was listening to a news report. They're like,
and a plastic bag tax.
Yeah, they're like, sodas have steadily been going down and people buying it, but for some reason across in the Westchester border they seem to be up because motherfuckers are going to Westchester to buy this shit now.
You can't figure it out.
That's why we have a fucking Republican in charge of fucking Westchester. You fucking dumb fucks.
You see, this is the city that we live in. It is an expensive place to live. Yeah. I love this, but I still love this place.
I can't wait to fucking leave.
Everybody wants to leave. I'm gonna hold the fort. I'm gonna hold the fort down for New York. Somebody has to. Somebody got to speak against this shit because we're gonna let them keep getting this stuff off forever. It's been going on too long.
Hopefully, within the next year, we'll be having this show on 2 different sides of the country.
It'd be possible. Brother, you were supposed to talk about our brothers down, our Americans down in Houston.
Oh yeah. Well, I think it's Texas in general. We know that you guys in Texas are, going through a very rough time right now with the hurricane and the flooding, and people are missing. Buildings have fell. Our thoughts and prayers are with you guys.
Absolutely.
We want you guys to be safe. If you can help somebody without putting yourself in danger, do it. And if you have fucking balls the size of grapefruits and you want to help somebody put yourself in danger, fucking do it as well. Just be careful. I never tell you not to help another American out.
Yes.
Definitely, you guys just need to be safe out there. Definitely. Make sure, stay with your loved ones, and our prayers are fucking sent down there with you guys.
Have you heard of any relief efforts to help them?
Nothing.
Any websites? Has anything popped up yet? Nothing, and I mean valid ones, like at this time.
I would say FEMA, but
well, please look at these times. A lot of people are vicious opportunists, and they'll use that to set up scam sites. So if anybody has anything that's valid out there, and they know for sure is valid, get in contact with us. We'll share it on our platform right away.
Yeah, definitely. Like, if anybody knows of any kind of organizations that are legit and valid and are trying to help out the people of Texas, you can send message to us on our Facebook account or our Twitter account or something, and we're definitely gonna put that information out there. We don't like to see other Americans hurt like this, and I think our president will be down there on Tuesday.
Okay.
Right now he was traveling back from Camp David after having some briefings and shit like that with his generals over Afghanistan for the most part. So, but if anybody knows of any kind of organizations trying to help out down there, if there's any kind of GoFundMe pages for groups of MOS or military guys, or Leos that are trying to get down there, send that information to us as well. One, will probably donate, and two, we'll make sure that we put that out there for you guys.
Absolutely, absolutely. We had another set of business that we wanted to make sure that we got. Trump. I heard recently that he signed something into law about veterans. Do you know anything about this? It was something
Uh,
to help veterans get their care faster,
yeah.
or if they had.
So if I remember the law right, or the not the law, but the bill. And this is going to do is allow veterans to get treatment at any facility that they want to, which will still be paid by the VA. One, so it helps with people who are suffering from definitely mental diagnosis, because if they don't like the primary care that they're getting there, they can always go out and the VA will cover it, just like if they were still at the VA. Same thing with surgeries. If you're looking for surgery and you don't want to get it done at the VA, you can go to another place to have it done, and it will be paid for by the U.S. government. So I think that's a very important bill, because one of the things was that a lot of veterans didn't want to go and get care due to the fact that they've heard horror stories of the VA, or they personally have had bad experiences at the VA. So they either stop getting care and then just their conditions get worse, or they wind up doing something that they can't come back from. So I think this bill is great. Honestly, I'm a big advocate for this bill, and I feel that it's finally something that that veterans deserve to get, because now they're not just limited to government care. They can go out and find whoever's the best in whatever they need. So if it's a knee surgeon, if it's a freaking head doctor, whatever it is, that they can actually go out there and get the best, and it's still covered by the VA. So I think that's one hell of a job by our president to do.
Wait a minute. This is a pretty big fucking deal.
Yeah. No, it is.
This changes the whole playing field.
Mm-hmm.
It loosens the constraints and actually gives you options.
Yeah, choices
for your own care.
Yeah. You're not just limited to the only foot doctor at the VA anymore. Like, you can go find a podiatrist.
Isn't that something?
Right.
I've watched president after president get up there and give lip service to veterans, and never actually really, do something that could really affect them on their personal level. Like,
I mean,
and it's so important.
When you have some of the worst senators and congressmen inside the fucking in both the Senate and the House of Representatives, I mean, look at this. You have John McCain, who's a quote unquote veteran, right?
Right.
Who always sits on the throne of I was a POW. First off, let's if you really want to be serious, he signed documents and told the people of Vietnam that he was a baby killer, and the U.S. Fighting in North Korea or Vietnam was wrong. So he already betrayed his oath to the United States, his brothers that he served with.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah. I know. I found this out. Like I said, I'm big in.
So wait a minute. Wait a minute. So he's Brody from Homeland.
Yes, pretty much. That's. I think that's who they based their character on. Was fucking John McCain. John McCain is literally a piece of shit of a person. That's why I hope this brain cancer does kill him. He can go fuck himself. At no time did he act like a soldier who's captured. In no time did he try to make numerous escapes. Never did that. He made statements against his country, And he tries to sit on the thing. Well, they offered me a pardon, and I said no. Yeah, because you knew if you took that shit and you went home, you would be killed.
Right.
So, but he never did anything that a military member is supposed to do when they get captured. He's a piece of shit. And I hope his brain cancer kills him, and maybe spread it to his family as well. But that's just me. Well, this dude has the worst voting record for veterans, and that's what people don't understand. Like, people fucking sit there and praise him, like, oh my god, this dude fucking turns down every bill. There have been several billion-dollar bills put on his fucking desk to sign, to fucking approve, to help veterans. And what does he do? He tells them to go fuck themselves because, I'm making all this fucking money sitting in the fucking Congress. You can go fucking find your own health care. And they'll fuck them over. Look at it. He's not even going to the VA to go get fucking treatment. You know what I mean? And he's a veteran, and he's, fuck that dude. He's a piece of shit. I hope he fucking dies of brain cancer. He's a fucking immoral piece of shit who fucked all his brothers in Vietnam. He should have been channeling with fucking James Fonda and fucking the fucking Hachi Hotel or whatever the fuck it was called. Because they're both fucking piece of shits Americans. Like, I don't even know how either of them got work. I don't know how he fucking would manage to slither his way into fucking, into Congress after fucking denouncing statements to his country in a time of war after being captured, when you shouldn't have got captured anyway. You should have either fucking tried to fight back or fucking kill yourself before you got captured, but that's neither here nor there. But you're a fucking piece of shit fucking human. You're a fucking piece of shit fucking airman. I think he was in the Air Force, or he did something with planes, so he can go fuck himself to begin with. I mean, he's a piece of shit, and I hope he fucking dies of his brain cancer.
So he's a traitorous coward.
Yeah, he is a traitorous coward. And everybody who backs him doesn't know shit about him. They fucking sit there and they just like, oh, he's a war hero. Bitch, you're not a war hero. Real heroes are the people who fucking never made it out of those prisons because they got fucking killed trying to escape the Vietnamese every fucking day. Unlike him who just sat in his cell and didn't do shit. All right? Him who fucking, he's not a hero. He fucking traded out. He's fucking worse than Bergdahl in ways. Actually, him and Bergdahl are probably the same fucking people. But he is a fucking piece of shit fucking soldier. I never want to hear about his fucking military record. Dude flew fucking like 3 missions and got shot down. He wasn't even in the country that fucking long. He's a fucking piece of shit of a fucking person. A piece of shit of fucking military member. And you can go fucking, if I ever fucking see his grave in a fucking goddamn fucking private fucking military fucking goddamn cemetery, I will kick over his fucking stone myself because he is a fucking traitorous piece of shit.
Wow.
Fuck
there
that
you
guy.
have it.
I hate that fucking guy. Fuck
you know what?
Guy.
You know what's amazing about that? So say if he came back, right?
Yeah, you would think. Questioned him. They questioned him about it. Did they?
But you would think.
But you would think, bro. That's why. That's what people don't understand.
No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But this goes back to the theme of the episode. Shame. Yeah. You would think you would have enough shame that you would spend your life trying to make up. Shit. Well, if not in hiding, at least trying to make up for what you've just done.
Yeah. Yo, look at his voting record. He got a 20% approval ratings from fucking the American fucking Foreign Legion, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the fucking Iraqi, Afghani veterans, the IVIA or some, no, the IAV, I think that's what it's called, but it's the Iraqi. I mean, he has the worst fucking voting record for veterans bills, and he fucking shoots them down all the time. $1 billion fucking plans that would, 1, boost up the fucking care that people got, 2, would boost up the salaries of people who are disabled. I mean, it's not fair that I live in New York as I'm a disabled veteran. I'll throw that out there. I live in New York, yet I make fucking shit to survive on. So, like, and I'm lucky I have a job, because if I didn't have a job to offset that, like, I would be fucked living in New York. Fucked living in New York on what I get. So now, but you have douchebags like him who fucking shoot down plans to help to raise the money for people who are veterans, to raise the disability amount, because realistically, the money that they give even people who have 100%, they cannot live on it if they live in a major metropolis area, right? Or realistically, even in a small town. I mean,
see, that's not right. That's not right for the folks that go out there and risk their lives.
No, it's not. But nobody cares because you have all these fucking. Because look, I'll show you how much nobody cares. There's roughly close to like 100 veterans or so that sit in on either the Congress or the House.
Okay.
Do you know how many of them put through bills to help veterans with disabilities?
How many?
None. You want to know why? Yeah, because they get their own fucking kickback, so they don't really fucking care. So, All these fucking veterans that go there, they say, I'm there to help veterans. You're not there to help fucking shit, bro. Fucking all the it's just the same thing like
But this is
with
what
blacks.
bothers me. This is what bothers me. I'm sorry to cut
Yeah,
you,
got
AR. Um, did you not take an oath?
yeah.
And so even after you finish your tour and everything, that oath still applies, does it not?
Yeah, it does. I mean, for most, it still applies.
I don't know. To me, an oath is a big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, to me, your words are a really big deal,
Hmm.
and it just it's really mind-boggling to me that you could really turn your back on the most fundamental group of Americans that there are. The
Yeah.
military transcends all racial boundaries, everything. It's because once when you're out there and you got your ass on the line, you're not worried about if he black or if he white or
Hmm.
if he Italian or if
Nope.
whatever. That's out the window
Yeah.
because all our asses are on the line,
No,
right?
exactly. No. You're 100% right. 100% right.
So I just, to me, it just to come back from that, and then you go into politics, and there's not enough that holds you back. There's not enough that tugs on you to make sure that you at least do the right thing
Mhm.
to that of which you came from. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh no. I completely
It's
agree with
it's
you.
it's just my and look, as you know, I'm not a veteran. That's one thing I regret never serving. But it just doesn't make sense to me. You understand?
Yeah, but this is the thing. It's like the whole thing. It's like the Democrats have the blacks as their base, and they're always pandering to them, and then they never do anything. I mean, that's the same thing with the Republicans, and I mean, and veterans. Republicans promise this, and this, and then they never deliver. Because again, it's just a system
Oh,
of
I see.
government, and,
I
and
see.
it's just how it is. And that's why I appreciate like Trump, at least fucking doing executive orders to get shit done. You know,
Mm.
so with that being said, like I said, he's the first politician that's actually said this is what he's going to do, and got it done. But again,
That's
people
true.
don't care about it because it's not their community of concern. So,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, we need to get, like I said, we should always get actually real veterans in there who did shit for their country and, you know, um, who are going through the struggle of the VA and has an understanding of what the fuck's going on because these motherfuckers are just out of touch. I mean, if you
Right.
look at most of these veterans, they're like, "Oh, I was an officer." Oh yeah, so you didn't do anything to begin with. Fucking, you didn't have a job.
Mm.
You oversaw people or whatever. Like, no, you need like these infantry guys or fucking combat arms guys who are going through the shit themselves right now and like, hey, this is a fucked up system because they're going through the system, not somebody who was fucking silver spooned, you know, in the
Right.
military and that just transitioned outside as soon as you left, you know. So I
Oh,
mean, it's definitely about getting real veterans in there, not these bullshit ones.
I see. Yeah. I don't know how we're gonna do that. Well, look, we got Trump in there.
And like I said,
Now
and
it's time to get. Now we got to start targeting everyone underneath him
oh,
because
exactly.
now everyone underneath him is the opposition.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? One by one, because that was a big wake up call sent when he got inaugurated.
Mm-hmm. No, it was
The, the
completely.
ones, the rest of these congressmen, representatives that are in office, they better take note. Americans have been waking up, getting smarter and
Yep.
smarter, and just not getting fooled. And the worst part about it is they keep talking to each other. They haven't stopped running that same play, the same play that had Trump all the way behind Hillary with no chance to win. Now they keep talking to each other about what's going on, thinking that they're really controlling the whole narrative. The whole country does not believe you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
CNN, the whole country does not believe you anymore. Rachel Maddow,
Yep.
you
And
can run it all you want. Keep talking to each other. keep talking to each other thinking that you got the pulse on what's going on. You're not going to shove that bullshit down our
No,
throat.
no, no. That show's just for their base now. That's all. That's all these channels like MSNBC and CNN become. It's just for their base, so that whenever they get into an argument, they can just regurgitate talking points and fucking like, you know what I mean. And that's what it is. I mean, it's sad when you have somebody who works on MSNBC tell the public that it's their job to control what you think, and not one motherfucking major media fucking outlet covers that. Not one. And it just shows you, because no, your job, what the mainstream media doesn't understand, it's not their job to control thoughts. They're realistically, their job is to get fucking information put out there that's supposed to be non-biased, non-biased being the key word, and give no narrative, just the facts. But yet they can't even do that because why? They need to make advertising. They need to make fucking revenue.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah. So that's why I like shows.
Yeah, there's no show out there that does not have a bias.
Yeah. All shows have a bias. That's being
All
real.
shows have a bias.
I mean, you can tell we're completely on the conservative side of things. I mean,
Right.
but I mean, at the end of the day, at least what we're doing is giving you facts to decipher what you want. Yeah, we have our opinions in it, but when we're telling you, hey, this is the information, you can find it. Like everything we talk about, you can Google and find anything about it. You know, and that's just the truth. What they do is that they talk. They don't talk a conversation with you. They talk at you. I think more so what we do is we talk with you to engage in some kind of fucking dialogue that you can sit down after listening to any podcast and be like, oh shit, I never thought about that before. Yeah, let me see what this says, or let me try this, or let me do this. You know.
And that's the thing about us too. We welcome a dissenting opinion.
Yeah.
We welcome a dissenting voice because, like we always said, there's no progress without ideas being challenged.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, as two Americans that truly love this country and truly want to see the advancement of this country, especially for our children's sake, we welcomed anything that could, you know, get the conversation flowing and new ideas and presenting ideas, because I'll never sit up here as if I know it all or I have everything all figured out. I can tell you the way I see it. You could tell me the way you see it. We see what lines up, and we see what we could find out from in between there. You understand?
Yeah.
So,
like, I have one listener out here that we have. When I talk to him, he always tells me about how him and his wife will get into arguments laying in the bed listening to the show, and I'm just like, what do you mean? And he's like, because, you know, she doesn't believe that. She's like, where's the proof? I'm like, look, and I told him, I was like, next time your wife says where the proof is, tell her to pull out her phone and Google that shit, because guaranteed whatever I said more than likely is true. And it is true, because I mean even if you go back to our fucking first fucking episode we ever did, when I was talking about the FBI asking for FISA warrants before the MSN would even acknowledge that shit.
So, that's true. That's true.
And you know what? And again,
this is true.
Like I say, I don't like going in blind, so we make sure we actually read up on some stuff before we actually give our opinion about on it. But I mean, realistically, I mean, you can Google about anything that we're talking about, and you'd actually probably you will see links, you will see testimonies from people. I mean, like I said, if you'll probably some people are probably sitting here and be like, oh, John McCain's a hero. You know, he never did that. Google that shit. Like if you Google presidential pardon for John McCain, that's a lie. He was never pardoned, but he did make statements against his country in Vietnam.
So they just never brought charges to him. So
they just never brought charges. Exactly.
Right.
But that's
so there was no need to pardon him. Oh, because he comes from money, and it got
he comes from money, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. If you don't believe, I mean, you'll Google that. I have a coworker that I always get into debates with at work, and I'll give her 100% fucking information. Like, hey, this is a fucking fact. And then she was like, well, show me. And what do? I pull up my phone. Here you go. And they're quiet on that subject again.
Yeah, no, they just move on.
Yeah. So, like I said, if you don't believe anything we're talking about, you can easily just fucking turn it off and just be like, fucking Google that shit and you'll find it. I'm telling you, you can pause it and Google it.
And also, if you feel really strongly, contact us and come on the show.
Yeah.
We would actually love to have you.
Yeah, so I mean, not to cut off this great conversation we was having, but we wanted to give our fans some updates. So, like, we will be doing a once a month a show with a fan. So, if you are, if you like and subscribe to our Facebook page, the YouTube page, and stuff like that, we'll choose one fan. Like every other week or maybe once a month. We're still working out the kinks on that to come on the show and co-host an episode. Other things that we're thinking about, that we're looking at, is if you actually read the title of the page now, it's called Locker Room Talk Media, because we want to make this more bigger than just us. Realistically, at the end of the day, long-term goals, shit. But if you have an idea for a show or a podcast you want to do, you don't know how to start one, we'll keep it on the Locker Room Talk Media YouTube page. We'll show you how to start setting up podcasts, because realistically, we can make a big community of people who have all these ideas and thoughts and just want to talk about it. We can go to create our own website, streaming site where anybody can stream our content, your content, and stuff like that. So if you have an idea for a show that you want to do, or if you want to come on our show, test it out. That's great. Let us know. Because this can turn into something really big for the community of, the people who want to just tell the truth and tell it how it is. So
Right.
Make sure you hit us up, and we'll take care of you.
Right. It doesn't matter, conservative, leftist, whatever. If you're about the truth, we could work the opinion out later. But if you're about the facts, then I could work with you.
Exactly. And if we have any veterans out there who want to start doing something, whether it's a video.
Shout out to the vets. Yes. Shout out to our vets.
Same thing with law enforcement. Anybody. Like I said, we're looking at making this like a media channel. Like media, it's just blowing up with everything from videos to podcasts. To fucking movies, whatever you got. We're trying to see this thing through big time. And when we live in a time where we can't trust, can't trust the media, you can't fucking trust politicians. You know what I mean? Like the only things you can trust are the facts, and hopefully the people who are giving them to you. So.
True indeed. True indeed. Well said. Well said, AR.
No, I try.
Well said.
I try.
Well said.
But for that, with that being said, we're going to wrap up this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Oh, on one note, I actually forgot, I left this out. Soon we'll probably be having somebody join us every now and then on a regular basis. You can find her on Facebook and on YouTube. Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Her name is The Gay That Strayed. Her content's actually very good. She's very right-leaning, I would say. But she's good people. So let's put it like that. So make sure you look her up on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. You can hear her first podcast that she actually did by herself, explaining herself. But she'll probably be a regular on the show from the talks I've been having with her. So you'll have a black, a gay, and a mutt on the same show. So yeah, it should be interesting. Okay.
See what happens with this mismatch of characters, right?
I know, yeah. They'll still try to. They'll be like, we're not disabled or something. Wait, I just covered that. I'm disabled, so I think we got all our bases covered right now. You can't get hit from anywhere.
Still racist. Still
racist. Yeah.
Well, America, as we always say when we end every show, guard your freedom.
Guard your motherfucking freedom.
It's all we have, and it's all we're going to keep.
Yep.
I ain't giving mine up, and I don't want you to do it either.
Fuck your feelings if the facts hurt.
Good night, America. Love y'all.
Night, America. Be safe.
Peace.
More raw, the sort of house meat that's still warm. My rare form caused a major retreat from World War. What's more, beast mode is red dawn. Brandish firearm, metal in my palm. Almost if I had a Midas palm, even by myself. What you face is Leonidas, arm me against the world. For the struggle not to fly upon dirt, new ways to contain this rage. Every day, self-control, but it takes its toll. Explode, take it all like your chin in my load. Bringing down foes 100 up and I ain't reload. My suggestion is to bundle up, I'm bringing the cold. The shell of those who throw your body, take a loss at the goal. I'm not a person, I'm a force and a current of presence. The effervescent essence elevates into heaven. Greatness awaits us, we are definitely destined. Make a diamond out of motherfucker after we press him.